Working on the Scimitar here, and the guy I bought this car off told me that he disconnected the belt for the power steering pump because the power steering pump leaked oil. So he's already done half the job for me and taken most of the bolts out. So I'm going to get this pulled off, get it on the bench, and we will see what it needs. Hopefully it just needs an oil seal. So here we have this pump, and it looks very damp around the bottom here, and to be fair, it's very flexible around the bottom there, but I'm going to hold out hope and maybe it's not leaking at the bottom, because I'm not really sure how to get it apart. I can obviously there's a hex in the center of that shaft, and that's how you get the pulley off, and potentially that's where we should start. But there's also this lock nut on the back, and I'm curious to see if I take that lock nut out, will it kind of free up this and see if we can get inside it. And I'm going to try that first. Okay. Well, it came loose. Maybe that does come out. I'm going to take that out. Right. So now does that back come off? A magnet for connecting all the metal files. Oh, there is some sort of valve in there. It's dirty. There's a spring too. The spring can stay in there. So there's seals on these. There's this big seal. Which looks hard as the road. Flat. Oh boy. So it's a few weeks later from that last clip there, and I don't know if me breaking this pulley was in the clip or not. I can't remember because everything's off the camera now, but yeah, this pulley is busted and this pump leaked anyway. So that's going to go in there. So I'm going to try and fit this pump out of a Citroen Saxo. It's an electric one, 12 volt obviously, and yeah, I've pretty much got an idea how it's going to work, and I'm just going to go ahead with it. And to power that there, I've got a big solenoid here, so that there will be powered to ignition live, with a wee switch in the dash maybe, and we're going to mount that in this area here somewhere. I've got a hydraulic hose there I'm going to put it, and then I've made a wee adapter up. So this wee adapter here, this end bit is part of the original power steering pipeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a load of white tape around this here, or either white tape or Loctite. I'm going to screw that in as hard as I can get it in, and then we've got a 3/8 BSP end to put our hose onto. Let's get this jacked up. Well, I'll have the car jacked up now, and if you look through here, you can see the power steering rack, and this is the high pressure line. So this is going to screw in here like this. Just wrapped a little white tape around that there. Hopefully it'll seal up good. Right, that's going to sit in there. This hydraulic hose here, that's going to go onto that fitting and sit up here like that there. And then on that pump, I already have tapped it out to 3/8 BSP and put a 3/8 BSP male in it. So yeah, I'm gonna get this hose on now. Well, I'll get this fitting in, get that hose on, and then I'll be back with you. Bit of a struggle getting that hose on. I had a drill the pop right outside of this here, so it'll get me arm up in, but that's in there. It's very close to that steering rack gator, but I think it's gonna be okay. So that hose is gonna come around here like this, pop on there. Well, first of all, the pump will be probably there. And then this hose here is going to come around here and pop on the top of this power steering pump. I'm going to have to make some sort of cradle up for this. Haven't got that far yet. And then this return line here, I'm going to have to either cut it and put a bit of hose up or try and bend it. I'll try bending it first, but I imagine it's going to kink. But yeah, I think the first thing I have to do is make a cradle for this pump. Trying to think of a way to hold this here, and looking at the pump, there's a rubber mount on this already, and there's a wee notch here and a wee notch at the top. So what I'm thinking is I've got this bit of pipe here, and I'm gonna basically cut that to length, maybe cut it in half even, put it there, and then I'll make a strap to tie the two together, and then we'll just reinforce it as we go. So yeah, that is the start of what I'm going to do anyway. I'm going to blast away at this here, and then I'll be back with you when we have some sort of cradle. Have this cradle made up now, but like a dickhead, I dropped the cradle and the pump onto my welding mask and cracked the lens. So any welding we're going to have to do now, from now on, we're going to have to use a safety squint until I can get a new lens ordered. Fucking speed glass one too, actually devastated. But anyway, here it is here. Just made out of scrap mostly, but yeah, pretty much had this left over from, I don't know, maybe I think this was on the Ranger. It was like a rear bar in the Ranger that I cut off. But yeah, so I've curved it around here, made a wee L bracket for it, mounting bracket at the back, and then you got your bits of pipe to hold it in, and then I just made an R strap just in case it wants to go anywhere. So that's going to mount on here like this, and we should in theory have power steering again. So I'm going to drill some holes, bolt this on now, and then start plumbing it up. Well, I felt kind of bad, so I deburred this here and give it a wee coat of black paint before I bolted it in. It looks quite good. I'm now going to fit my solenoid. I have fuse blocks coming tomorrow, but we're going to wire it up now and see if it works. I don't see why it wouldn't work, and then we'll relocate this pipe and put it back in where it has to go. It's going to go on that reservoir, the return pipe up there, and we should be done. Now this reservoir needs relocated as well. I need to mount this. Probably going to put it there, but we'll just move this clamp up a bit so it sits like there, and I think that'll be a good job. And that means we should have power steering again. A lot of neckiness around the side of the engine bay. I suppose I could take them brackets off, but we'll see how we get on. Well, check this out. I tried to use my pipe bender and bend that return pipe, but it just snapped, so I had to pretty much cut it where it snapped, which was just above here on the 90. So I got a hose on it, and I'm hoping it's going to seal. It should seal, but we'll see how we get on. So that comes up, follows the high pressure line or the feed line, and then it basically goes into this here. And then I had to make an adapter with an old hose and this hose because they were different sizes, but it's in there now. I now have my solenoid in there. It's not wired up yet, but I'm going to pour some ATF or power steering fluid in here. Well, it's now time to test this here. It's all full of ATF oil or power steering fluid. I have the solenoid in. It's wired up. Literally just some wires here, because I still need to put the fuse in line. But let's see what it feels like with a car on the ground with no power steering. Yeah, she's tight. Steering wheel's still not bolted on, like, because that's where it was when I got it. Right, connect up our power feed. I really hope this works. There's our power feed. I think it'll work. It has to work. Oh yeah. Awesome. We have power steering. As always, it's a few days later from that last clip, and I haven't got around to putting the fuses in. They have arrived, but we have another issue here. I noticed we pulled oil in the ground and pulled the pump out again, and there's a wee crack in the front of the reservoir here, and it's leaking ATF oil or power steering fluid. So I'm going to pull this out again, bring it onto the bench and see if we can maybe solder this up, put a wee bog patch on it, because it's quite hard to get in this here, and finding another one might be hard as well. So I'm going to fix this for now, and we'll keep an eye out for another one. Even a broken one would work, because we could just take the front reservoir off it. But yes, all this has to come out again. It's not too bad. It's just basically disconnecting these two hoses, the main wire feed and the reservoir here. Another thing I've done, I ran wires through the engine bay into the cabin for switch lives. We're going to put a fuse box inside. I'm going to put a relay on it as well, and then we'll take a big a feed from the battery for that. Well, actually it'll be coming from the split charge relay that's in the back, because this is going to be the feed for the split charge. And this comes up, and it comes in, where is it? Oh, is it? There. I'm also going to run another feed off the alternator, because at the minute it's only got a small like 4mm feed. I could take like a 10mm off this side, bring it across, and then we'll have an extra bit of charge for charging our hydraulic suspension batteries as well. So yeah, I've got a few things to get at here, so I'm just going to get started. I'm going to pull this pump out, bring it over the bench. Okay, well you can see the crack is just along here. And I've cleaned it out with brake cleaner. I'm going to give it another go, and then I'm going to hit it with a soldering iron. Hopefully I can get it sealed up pretty good, and then I'm going to put a wee bit of gasket maker over top of it as well, maybe put a wee patch on it. I probably could take this whole thing apart and do it a bit better, but there's going to be oil everywhere, so we'll see if this works first. Right, so this isn't really under pressure, it just holds the ATF oil, so this should work. Next up, there's this and a wee patch maybe. That's bound to work, right? If I scratch the inside of that up real good, a bit of sandpaper or something. Scratch this up too. It's the next day here, and this is dry, but this bit of plastic didn't stay formed in the same shape I thought it was gonna, and it basically went out to its original shape, and basically the patch isn't touching the area where I put the patch on. So what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try taking this off. I don't know how easy it's going to be to take off, and then do it again, but it's pretty much the exact same thing I'm going to do, only with a different patch. To be honest, yeah, it might even work like that, but I feel like a patch would be tastier. So I'm going to get a knife blade and scrape this off as best I can and try and make another patch for it. And there we go, try this again, and what I've done is made a patch with a bit of flatter plastic, and then I put insulating tape over top of it to try and press it down, so we'll see how that one dries. So next day here, I took the insulating tape all off, and the patch seems to be adhered quite well on there, so yeah, I'm going to count that as a win. But for now, I'm going to call this upload finished, because, well, I've got a load of wiring to do anyway, so I'm going to do all that all as hopefully one upload by itself. because I have a few things I want to run to the back. I want to put switches on the dash and everything. But pretty much, if you imagine this as being completed now, we've had a pump mounted. We know our pump fits in there. We know it works. We know the solenoid works, and all we need to do is get a feed to it. I have an inline fuse holder. They're going to be going on there, and that will be that done. So yeah, I'm going to call that quits, and I'm going to start on the next upload now of the wiring. So if you want to see how I finish this off, I'll see you next time. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one. Cheerio.